I don't know,
Okay.
but we're on. So for those that are joining us here, I am in Te Tai Tokerau, Tail of the Whale, in the far north of Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm connecting here with Yssah in Mexico, 4 days away from a journey to Egypt. And what brought us together is it came up very briefly in a very short conversation that I'm being called to take a group to Antarctica in early 2024, and so too is Yssah. And that's, we need to and tune in. And since then, emerged into the field. And I'm just sharing with Yssah what's been unfolding through the Guardians of GAIA global online community in the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, on the Chinese New Year, we were with of our dragons, Earth planetary and galactic dragons. 1 week ago, the last new moon, the last full moon 2 weeks ago, we were working with our Madeline Walker, who's an animal communicator, also working with the consciousness of our Cetacean Nation, the whales and the dolphins, those that have been singing the harmonics of our planet while humanity has been sleeping. And the journey we went through was handing back the responsibility of singing the harmonics of the planet to humanity, as humanity is now awakening and ready for this. And our most recent gathering yesterday on the new moon, the honeybee, our primary planetary pollinator, their consciousness was at the center of our gathering, and understanding the significance of bees. Life as we know it on the planet does not exist without our honeybees. They are seriously endangered right now and challenged by humanity's lack of consciousness and overuse of pesticides and monocrops. And while the bees can survive and thrive without humanity, we cannot without them. And they also hold the template of Homo Universalis, the evolution journey that our souls go on. Most of us were born in as Homo sapien. On soul embodiment, we become Homo luminous. There's a lot of children being born in at the Homo luminous stage now. In our evolutionary journey, once we embody soul, next is to recollect to our galactic origins as we become Homo galacticus. And we do have incoming souls landing now with their full galactic capacity. And the next stage is into Homo Universalis, where everything we do for the greater good of all, person, people, and planet, all species, all ecosystems, all environments. So it was a really exciting journey with the bees, and much unfolded through that. And I would like to share with you, and particularly with Yssah, it's where we're going with this conversation, a post that Casey has just shared regarding the omniversal blueprint for the key holders and galactic guardians of Gaia, bringing movement towards the new Earth Gaia pods. There has been an opening of the codex. Galactic levels and soul levels are dropping in the codes and keys ready now to be embodied. These codes pertain to the new Earth communities, the family land, and cooperatives ready to be birthed. Guardians, both galactic and new Earth levels, are beginning to gather to share codes person to person. These are the key holders and wisdom keepers. The new Earth Gaian architecture is being built with the foundation of omniversal codes of unity and love. Inner Earth is opening as well, and the removal of old timelines of kings with their kingdoms, lusting for gold, ownership, and slavery, undoing the old to make way for the new. Higher abundance codes coming in, higher vibrational resources, wealth protocols. Sacred commerce coming back online, wealth being shared among the many, creating toroidal fields of abundance to flow. And this is what I've been working with very much with Annette of Viva Automated, who is currently located in Lago Atalan. And we are creating the architecture and physical infrastructure of birthing new earth new earth projects and businesses, rather than the pyramidal structure of the past, which is top heavy. We're building the new structures on the donut shape, on the toroidal field shape, so that it continues to regenerate, rejuvenate, and grow in a unified field and within a circle. Shasta is the root. Shasta as the root is stepping forward as the first to be anchored, the key to be turned, and the community doors are being opened, and land is returning again to the tribes and the families of Gaia. Other locations are coming online as well. All are being prepared energetically for the human land stewards to take their places. Gaia is moving forward. We have to take a step as well. We have been held in this holding space but the foundation is anchored, and time together is now. That was a gift from Casey, Valerie, and the Galactics. So handing that over to you, my dear sister, I'm sure you have much to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm very happy and excited as well to, as always, to be sharing here with you. All these topics bringing us together, weaving what each one of us is doing from their own specific area, and yet everything so interconnected, such as what you mentioned, the message of going to Antarctica, and which is not something that you get often, even when you mention people that you're planning a trip to Antarctica. I say, what? What for? Because it shows the level of commitment that we have, because you were mentioning very important things, and also in the message of the beloved sister, and which is that we are here to honor, like, put in my own words, we are here to honor the life that we have been given in this earth, to nourish it with that level of correspondence of what we can bring in life to that very same source of life that has been given to us, and being given to us, you know? So anyhow we can support right now, the earth is very important, because it's not about saving the earth, as you well mentioned as well. The earth can perfectly continue to exist without us, you know. It's more about creating the universe, creating the life to exist as we deserve to exist, you know, and that is in coherence to our true nature, which is life, love, unity. So there are a lot of species that are calling in to create these alliances to support us, to allow us to convey all this information that has always been, and that humanity is now ready to see it, to perceive it, and that we as holders of those words, that truth that comes from the heart, because for how I perceive it, no one has an absolute truth. You know, what we are just speaking is the truth of our heart. And then the more pristine it is, the more resonance it generates heart to heart. Human being to human being, beast to human beings, whales, dragons, and all forms of consciousness and manifestations of life, rocks, crystals, all the elementals, and even, well, with all form of existence. So now that you were mentioning about the whales and the place that you are right now, and in relation to Antarctica, well, now that there are cubes emerging to the surface, as we can see in the sun, like this is not the first time that happens. It has happened before. Like a cube, like literally a cube coming out from the sun. And that recently an image was taken from a cube coming out again from the sun. And that I have been talking about the cubes and the 7 cubes unfolding from since last year, 2023, all the way to 2030, 1 cube per year. And the cube that is being released this year is the cube precisely of Antarctica. Last year was the cube related to the, how I call it, the Maiha cube, which is related to the La Riviera Maya, all the area connected to Atitlan, to Lake Atitlan, and to the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. You know, all that area that is also very connected to the triangle of the Bermudas, or the Bermudas Triangle. And now the cube is related to Antarctica, and it's quite connected to Patagonia, and it's also linked to another triangle that is there, because there are 12 triangles, and they are all sequenced in a very specific pattern of 72 degrees in between one another. And there are 5, like 30 degrees above and below the equator. And then there is a pattern of 72 following in between each one of them. There are 5 and 5, and there are 1 in the north and then 1 in the south. So there are 12. 5, 5, 1, and 1. So there are 12. And in between these 12 triangles, there are cubes, 7 cubes. Of course, there are different scales of cubes. You know, like it's full of cubes, actually, like in different sizes. The thing is that these are related to matrices that are holding the space for the artificial matrix. Well, not holding the space, but, you know, pieces of how that artificial matrix was created and bridges into the primordial matrix, which leads to the whale and all those forms of consciousness, the dragon. I'm sorry, you were going to say, sister?
I'm just feeling into the cube in Antarctica and our calling to Antarctica, and you're saying that it's connected through Patagonia. And I'm wondering if the third point on the triangulation is actually Uluru, because I'm being called to Uluru at the end of this year before going into Antarctica.
Okay, well, yeah, Uluru is definitely pulsing in the field, definitely. Now that yes, it's definitely connecting to Uluru. Yes, thank you for mentioning it. Yes.
Yeah, carry on. It's great to work together through each other's fields, with coming from the not knowing, so that if we bring a potential in, we can feel if there is a resonance there. So great. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's exciting. Yeah, because I'm getting, you know, this year, because of the earth movements expecting and the earth changes, with the tectonic plates, which we went into more yesterday with Guardians of Gaia.
Great.
This year, it's very specific that I'm based down here in the south of the Pacific Ring of Fire for 5 months, and then up in Indonesia for 5 months. And then when I come back, it's to come back through Uluru and then down to Antarctica at the beginning of next year. So it's weaving it,
Yes,
I
yes.
guess, all by
Remember,
divine design.
yeah, because, you know, and remember that I was saying that I will be in Hawaii by the end of the year, that we will be in Hawaii, and that we were seeing and also the line being created and being generated with the pattern that you are also generating yourself, with being right now in New Zealand and then in Polynesia, and then me being in Hawaii, and how everything is perfectly being weaved. And um, we were from the very beginning talking about the arcs, you know, and now how do the arcs relate to the cubes, which is also something very important. Because like if I was saying that these cubes are matrices, and these matrices are holding very important codes that reach in the artificial matrix and the primordial matrix. And what do I mean by they breach in? Is that they hold the codes precisely for this transition. You know, it's all about algorithms and patterns, geometries, frequencies. Once they unfold, they are full power generators. So normally who gets to claim that power is the one who is aware of it and standing from a point of empowerment, of sovereignty, of, you know. So this is why it's so important to acknowledge, well, one of the reasons, as how I perceive it and I remember it, that to call in for the information that it's coming from the arcs. And because they have also the information permeated of the earth. As for the sun, because now in terms of the galactic community, each planet related to the solar system has been called to bring in through these matrices, through these cubes, the information related to the planet, as to archive all the information of the solar system, because things are going to be happening. So this is an agreement that normally happens when the star system is going through a huge transition. So they need to bring in together the archives, the files of the information within each one of the planets. So when other species come, they know what happened.
It's really interesting as you're talking into it, because I'm looking at it more of a archive of information. They're needing to do a defrag on the archives to literally, it's the same way we do our work. We unpack all that is not ours out of our universe, so that we may embody, come into coherence and alignment with what is, and with that extra parts of ourselves. It feels like when I feel into the archives, there needs to be a defrag on the archives to make space for the new, and a new way of relating galactically as well.
Yeah, well, actually, if you are releasing arts, it's because new files are going to be generated, of course. The thing is that, and why I am mentioning this is because the Earth is going through a huge transition, when where a lot of information is being released, and we see it everywhere, you know, like everybody is releasing information and tuning into, you know, so also like at scale, the planets are, the stars are, you know, everywhere we look around is releasing information. Why? And when information is being released is because a huge upgrade is happening, a restoration to the origin, because something huge is going to happen. And what is that huge? When we're talking about an upgrade, is because when you release, is because you're going to receive something else. You know, so we are going through that process of what are we going to be receiving? And it's proportional to what we will be giving. And this is nothing new. This is the law of correspondence. Like, it's happening all the time. The thing is that it also is happening at scales. So we were going through a scale of preparation, like, okay, you're practicing. Yeah, you give and you receive 1 year after. You give and you receive months later, you know? And now it's you give, you receive, you give, you receive, you give, you receive. So yeah, like, and this is why also all this releasing, how I perceive it, all these releasings of these citrus and whales codes and dragons codes are so important, because we are talking about the primordial wisdom that is so impeccable and so hard fundamented, which is the level of frequency that we are to embody in order to sustain the level of frequency that is coming through the solar flares, all the plasma that we are called to be reconnecting with, because it's not any kind of frequency. It's a huge level of frequency that we shall have our biology well sustained, and that is quite related to the heart, you know, like to the level of coherence that our heart is in, and very related to what you said, you know, like being in a not only in a state, yet constantly giving for the pleasure of giving. And this is not related to the recessive programs about, yeah, just give yourself into it and allow for other forms of consciousness and programs to step into you, and you are the martyr and you're just, no. This is another level of giving ourselves to ourselves, because now we understand that the other is our reflection. So then also the level of experiences that we are generating are more loving and more caring, more in correspondence. So
Goes hand with our own self-love, self-care, and personal practices. Because without the open heart, without the integrity of the alignment through the bodies, we're actually quite an unstable instrument. And I look at it, you know, this is our universe, and it's like a lighthouse that when it comes online, it's really important that we occupy our lighthouse, because if we don't, there are other consciousnesses that may. So really taking command of our own light ship is an absolute must. It must be rooted through the body, and it must be rooted into the planetary body, and come from a place of deep listening and feeling through the feeling body, because the body very much is our instrument to discern in this dimension and others. And without these bodies, without being anchored through the bodies, it can create chaos for ourselves and others. And part of that maintenance I've also found is every time we go through another doorway of opening into more love, opening into greater service, it's like after the ecstasy, the laundry, because a whole lot of light comes in and it pushes up anything that remains in the unconscious, personal and planetary, that requires resolution in order to take the next step.
Exactly.
So really interesting, reflecting with Olga this morning. And yes, it's like a never-ending journey. However, it does get a whole lot lighter, a whole lot more fun, and we get to make art of life and play the game of life very consciously. And I can't wait till all of those gamers realize what an incredible game this life is, and how they could apply the skills they've learned on online gaming into conscious reality with integrity. It's going to be quite exciting.
It definitely is. It is. I feel very blessed for having embodied at this stage of human evolution, you know, and being capable to participate from it, because there have been so many loops that it's like, okay, we got it this time. We got this, you know. Because the thing is that we are just yeah, it's like you know how I've been tuning into, it's like we're just shifting into another level, you know. It like also a part of this is will continue to exist, and there will be people that are partially aware of their power that will continue in that survival mode, and there will be like an upgrade of all what we get to see, and you know, into this thrival, you know, and like having given another response. And that's why we came here for, you know, from all the scenarios that we have witnessed, that we already know that they exist. This is why it's so fun, because they have already happened. We're just remembering, you know, remember which timeline to tune into, to say, okay, it's this one, you know, it's this one. And just I don't know how you feel about it, that uh you know, I'm sorry, but I'm receiving like all a lot of messages at this moment. I don't know if you get to listen to the notification, but like boom, 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 boom. Okay. Yeah. So this is when we get to know, to remember that everything has already happened, then we get a lot of weight from our shoulders, you know, and then we get to enjoy it because we get to trust. Like this message has been coming deeply, like trust. You know, like it's all again, it's like regardless of how you see everything is coming, relax and enjoy. You know, full trust, full trust. It's already been given. You know, you're just attending physically to enrich from that experience and enjoy, because that's the when I tune into all these theories of like the old school, like the scientific old school, and they qualify nature as something unstable and unpredictable and chaotic, and therefore a linear form of thinking is order because it's predictable, then I say, no wonder at some moment spirituality was casted away from science. The thing is that Mother Nature is not volatile. It's not unpredictable. Actually, we see all the cycles. Like even in the whales, you know, every year at some seasons, they go to specific places to breed. You know, if something has, like if Mother Nature has something, it's that it's actually very, I wouldn't say even predictable, but it's very um um balanced. It's the perfect balance in everything. And it's stable. Actually, it's very stable. And even when an event happens, like an earthquake or, you know, maybe they can't predict it, but you can see it coming because of what has been generated in the field. You know, it needs to shake, it needs to transmute, it needs to to purify.
Yeah, we look at nature cycles, be it on lunar cycles, solar cycles, or planetary cycles.
Yes.
There's cycles playing out simultaneous, and it's been years becoming more aware of being of service on a planetary scale, that if something needs to move in an area, if it's not moving in the people, it will move in the land. But if it moves in the people, then the movement of the land is much milder. But if it's locked in the person and the land, then it often takes a lot more energy to break it open so that the cycles can be in rhythm, and so the cycles can be in harmony. I prefer not to use the word balance so much. He said to me while using the word, you know, we're like, no, we're not. Nothing in the universe is static. Balance is static. We're looking for harmony. And I'm like, you're right. I feel that. We're looking for harmony. How do we maintain harmony? Is we bring our body into the rhythm of the planet, into the cycles of the planet. And from a place of embodied deep listening, we can feel the earth through our body. We can feel the movements before they come. And we can feel where we need to be when we need to be there.
Yes.
And speaking of needing to be somewhere and any sort of time, you need to be in Egypt soon. So tell us of your adventure that is you're preparing for in the land of ancient Kemet.
Well, in relation to what you have said about harmony and balance and Egypt, you know, the first thing that came to me is Ma'at, and you know, like when they wait the heart. And this is such a powerful code because it's the balance, and it is the heart and the feather. And this is one of the huge upgrades, which I believe that it's very important to integrate and unify, because I believe that there has been put a lot of weight to what balance could represent, because then again, you know, it's like, as you said, whatever is static is death, you know, like something that is static, you know, like with no motion is that, you know, everything is moving. Even if we are static, you know, our body looks like it's static. It's not static. It's innerly moving, you know, all the time. It's generating all these symphonies and creating all these experiences at different scales. So, for instance, this is what I feel when we look at that balance. You know, we can see that thing like the ocean. You know, we see the ocean. It's steady. We see it from above, and we can perceive it's not moving. Nevertheless, when we go at different, like with this zoom in, then we can see that it's moving, and the tides and the waves and, you know, everything. but we are just contemplating it at different scales. So this is one message that I tune into when we see the like ma'at and the balance in between the heart and the feather, that we are, when I was saying about the importance of some upgrades related to our body, because I mean, us for us who have already been exposed to a specific range of conscious evolution, for those who are still, who are just initiating it, and those who have not even, you know, like opened that chapter in their lives because maybe they didn't came to this life to do that. You know, they're just fulfilling another purpose as honorable as ours. And for those who came to ignite there's a circuit of all this grid, of all this network, as the brain, you know, as neurons of one mind, of a unified mind, of a unified heart, because the heart itself also has neurons, then we get to align. And this is something that I was telling you last time, because you also mentioned the moon. You know, one of the missions that we are doing there, like innerly and then manifested outwardly, is the alignment of the heart. Because when the moon, what we know today as the moon, which was Theia, the planet, and crashed into the earth, it generated the axis tilt. And the axis tilt reflects in the axis tilt of the heart. So when we say true north and true south and, you know, like the other cardinal points, then we're talking precisely about that axis tilt. So are we to shift that? Or is that okay? Why shifting it, you know, if it aligns to our heart? And the thing is that due to the magnetic field of the earth and how it is relating to the magnetic field that those pieces of Theia have been generating to the Earth's nucleus, then it's generating a splitting, like it could split up, like the magnetic field could split. And that will lead to different things. But one of the things that I am going to mention now is what influences the plasma more. Like from all the constants, like the physical constants, what would influence it more? And it's the gravitational field. So what it's going to pop up in between these two magnetic fields of Theia plates and the Earth's magnetic field, what is going to merge is the plasma. I mean, the plasma is everywhere. It's not like it was captive. The thing is that it was limited to some extent because it was highly influenced by the magnetic field generated in between these two forces. I repeat, Theia's plates and the Earth's magnetic field. And that amount of plasma being released, as the information being released, gives us the capability to fill in our space first, we need, and we shall do it, and then generate our plasma sphere, which is the aten. That aten that Akhenaten was talking about so much, and that, or Aton, Akhenaton, or the Aton, which they would relate it as the divinity of the sun, but no, it was the plasma. It was the plasma. He was talking about the plasma and the capability to go beyond the gravitational field to generate this state of coherence and go beyond the gravitational field, which is what's going to happen because the gravitational field, the magnetic field, is going so weak that it's preparing precisely for that event to happen. And that's one thing. And another thing is that um, even it's embedded in the tetragrammaton, which is the pentagon, is the 5-point star, which leads us again to the plasma, because which is the fifth element? The aether, which is the plasma. So when we bring together all those 4 elements, we commune into the fifth one. And that also leads to Theia, because Theia frequently, it's like, I'm not going to to count in the number of plates that are embedded, like that are deep underground, really close to the Earth's nucleus. Maybe they are 4, maybe they are 5, maybe there are 7. Regardless of that, the frequency that they are emanating is related to the 5th dimensional form of perception, which is unity. So if we look at our history and how the feminine, the primordial feminine, or moreover, the feminine has been behaving, it's like trying to bringing the pieces together. And so the masculine, yet the masculine was encoded in Osiris, and the feminine is encoded in the moon. One is in the star and one is in the moon. So all this influence that the moon has in the molecular structure of the water, it's because land calls land, earth calls earth, blood calls blood, to say it somehow. Codes, like lineage calls lineage. So the part of Theia that it's not the moon and that's inside the earth, it's magnetizing. It's magnetizing. That's why we get to see the moon bigger and bigger, because it's coming closer and closer, because the magnetic field is really strong in between the moon, the rest of Theia, and the other pieces of Theia. So how do we align, going back to Egypt, and what we are doing? Well, the Theia's plates are in South Africa. Just one thing, like they crashed and they went into the part of South Africa, and they are having influence in South America. So that's where the magnetic field is splitting firstly. So what to do, like how to align? Is this necessary? Well, one of the things that has torn apart at some moment of humans' evolution, that led to all this separation and patriarchy and matriarchy, was precisely the fact that the masculine and the feminine inside couldn't understand each other. It's like they were talking two different languages, It's like, yeah, your duty is to feel woman, because then it generalized, because then the amnesia, like each human forgot that we all have feminine and masculine energy. So it was, woman, you're the one that you feel, you're the one in charge to love. We are here to think, we are here to solve the problems, we are here to, and then everything went so archetyped. And why? Because there has to be an energetic reason. We know that biologically we're related to our 2 hemispheres, not fully interconnected, because that's a fact. And it's related to the dragon gene. And the other fact is that the heart's leverage, it's towards the feminine side of our body. So it's more likely for the feminine to feel, because the heart, the axis tilt of the heart, is more to the feminine side. So what will happen if we align it? Then the masculine is going also to be connecting with the heart. And then the Fibonacci coming from the heart symbol, like the two Fibonacci's coming together from the heart symbol, then they are aligned, because we are talking all about the holographic field. It's mostly about that. You know, otherwise we have the two Fibonacci's more like this, and the two Fibonacci's are to be like this. So we are talking about the holographic field. And then we align the heart, feminine and masculine, bringing in the plasma body, the plasma orb, interconnecting to the thymus gland, and then reaching out to that point in our brain where the primordial gen is, which is related to Gen Isis. I mean, no wonder when they found the first fossil of the whales, like the first form of whales, which are dragons, they call it Basilosaurus Isis. Like, what kind of message is this? It's related to the Gen Isis, you know? So yeah, and then energetically wise, all the 5 pieces of the moon of Theia, the primordial frequency of what we know today as moon, come together, and then we recycle as we restore ourselves to a cycle and rhythm that is sovereign, you know, because no one has the leverage anymore, not the masculine nor the feminine. You know, it's equally balanced. And by equally balanced, I don't mean like perfect and, you know, like what we get to know about, yeah, like 100 and 100. No, you know, like for me, that balance, that harmony represents that maybe sometimes it's not 50-50. Maybe sometimes it's 30 and 70, yet it's generating this full harmony. You know, it's generating life, it's generating motion, you know, because that's also a huge recessive program, that correspondence and unity, even something even kid. Yeah, because I'm having all kinds of manifestations here in my house, like yeah, anyway. Yeah, correspondence. It's not about if I'm listening, if I'm talking, you're going to talk, because for our literal cognitive thinking, that's correspondence. You know, that's the 50-50. You know, you're talking, I'm talking. You know, why are you not talking? You're not giving me the same that I'm giving to you. Why? Because it's not meant to be that way. You know, that's a non-linear form of thinking, which is I'm talking right now and you're listening, then you will talk and I'm listening. And then that's the harmony, that's the form of balance that I'm talking about, that, you know, that it can look in peace, but it's not steady. It's vibrant and full of life, yet creating that harmony.
So much so, that last piece, so many of us, without a lot of presence and awareness, we listen to respond, we don't listen to hear. And I love listening through my feeling body. And I can't listen through my feeling body if I'm busy thinking about what I'm going to say next. And if I surrender into the field of body, feeling body through the unified field, what I'm feeling or whatever needs to be spoken will come through the field. Because we're sitting within the unified field of love and consciousness. It's really fascinating. I first started playing with that during my yoga teacher training. And rather than ask my question, I would think my question into the collective field and wait and see who it emerged from. And that was my first sort of explorations on how does consciousness really work. And that was fascinating. And as we, two things that came up actually out of that journey. One was the Africa piece about Theia landing into Africa. And while the end of this year is through Uluru and Antarctica, by June next year, it feels very important to lead a journey through Southern Africa. The ancient stone circles in South Africa, particularly starting at Adam's calendar, which is one of the oldest stone circles on our planet, and going from there through Kruger to Imbavati, where the white lions are, the Syrian star masters, and the Syrian Lyran star masters, and the keepers of the South Point on the Nile Meridian that runs
Where
straight
did you
from
say?
Giza down Imbavati. It's where the
Timbavati.
Nile Meridian runs from Giza all the way down through the African continent. And then coming over to Cape Town, there's quite a number of sacred sites around Cape Town, and very important to go up to, I think it's the Cedarburg Mountains, where a lot of spend some time with the Kalahari Stan, who have a lot of rock paintings up in the mountains there. So that's an interesting journey that will come about somewhere around June next year. And as you talk about things moving in your room and manifesting, I had to laugh because I went for a swim. I go swimming every day while I'm next to the Pacific, which is an absolute blessing. And I went for a swim the other day, and the first thing I see is a little scarab doing backstroke on the ocean. Tiny little scarab. And I'm like, oh, fancy meeting you out here, because it was a long way from land. And then a bit further on, the next thing I saw was a bee. There was a honeybee in the ocean, still alive, doing breaststroke or dog paddle, bee paddle. And then the next thing, the last thing I saw as I got right out towards the point is literally a feather sitting on top of the ocean. And it was really interesting to get the scarab, the honeybee, and the feather all in a row. So I wonder what that hieroglyph will say.
Well, I can find that out for you. Definitely. The scarab, the bee, and the feather.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the
But
first
I
thing
am
that comes
very
to me, because it
excited
has like
for
a
your-
specific translation. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that normally it has like this very specific translation, but when it comes to me, for what I know about the specific hieroglyphs, is that, well, we know that the Heper is the rebirth, but it's also very related to the brain, because that's one given translation like by the archaeologists, and there is then another more spiritual and Kemetic translation to it, that it's rebirth, and it's also rebirth from this enlightenment part, you know, because the Heper is also the brain, the skull. And then we have the bee, which normally the bee, they related to that royal heart, but that fearful royal part. And then we have the feather, which is the mat, which it's like the justice. So it's clear to me that you're bringing in to the origin of the conscious mind from the illumination, what the B code represents. Because also that something that I would love to say, it's like one of the codes that I have become aware, which are the most important, like Stella codes, which are the star codes, is the B nebula, the Beehive nebula, which is located in the Crab constellation, which is the origin for the ancient Egyptian. They would put the origin there. That's why it's almost in the center of the Dendera space-time table, or the Dendera zodiac, how they call it. The crab is almost in the center, and it's a very important code related to the genetic upgrades, to the capability of regeneration. The thing is that, you see, what's the name that they have given to the Crab constellation? Cancer. What name have they given to that illness related to the cells reproducing at an accelerated pace through a distortion? Because the telomeres, which are the ones leading the regeneration process, they are over accelerated, then they start to generate the opposite effect. Well, so if it torsions, then we are talking about the natural capability of regenerating through the telomeres in order to restore the body to the origin. But why was it distorted? Due to the phase of rhythm in the natural cycles. And this is also related to something that not being aligned to the true order of the constellations of the zodiac signs represents. And I'm not talking about, well, of course, this considered, for instance, the sidereal astrologist. But this is something else what I'm talking about, because the 12 zodiac signs also have a purpose. I'm talking about the order of the signs. The first sign is Pisces, and Pisces includes Cetus. So if humanity continues to acknowledge Aries as the first sign, it's generating and enhancing that entropy and that distortion. I clarified that entropy for me is not the same as distortion. It's something else, but anyway, it's generating and enhancing that distortion. And then, yeah, all other anchors continue to exist. So this is also related to the bee and to Cetus, because the whale is in Pisces and the origin. So yeah, let's celebrate.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I just it's like my system knows astrology in a very pure way, and I've never studied astrology. However, I was drawn to explore soul level astrology, which is on the ancient Atlantean system and sequence of the planets. And although I could feel my way through it and navigate it, I was still not getting coherence between the structure and what my body was. So I actually had to very clearly leave halfway through the training. We were on semester 3, and basically it closed when I did work with a sister up in Maine in the US, when I was based in Lago Atlan, and we were triangulating through Putney Mountain in Vermont. And when that work was complete, I had to stop the study because it wasn't coherent with my system. So that's one interesting piece that I wanted to share. And the other thing is, while we're working with the axis mundi, the axis of the earth, a lot of my body work for the last month, since I landed and began to recalibrate and integrate has been focused on the spine, from the coccyx to the atlas, up through the spine, and the alignment of this and the axis. And very interesting, because when we met last, when we didn't have long to talk, I was just going for a session, and I will today as well. And it's about bringing this axis into alignment. And as you spoke into Theia and the plates coming into the earth, this spoke to my system in a really interesting way, that a clearing happened through my system as greater alignment came. And I was actually feeling into the number of plates of Theia and getting that there were 12 embedded in the planet, which is quite interesting information as well. So I just had to share that.
Thank you.
And yeah. And the other important thing it just felt to share with you, have you, on your adventures in Egypt, been to Wadi Hatan at all yet? Valley of the Whales?
Yes. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I mean, I love all the desert in Egypt, and Wadi El Jitan is one of the ones that I connect with the most. I can feel a lot of not only the consciousness of the dragons and the whales and the mermaids, also with the turtle, like this big turtle, you know, that connects to other islands and outside Egypt, but like carrying in the information. And yeah, I was doing there a lot of labor. I was even going to go and live there for a while, you know, because there are also other codes related to the currency and how the money system was embedded through Corinthia, which was it's the name of a place there that the Romans settled, you know.
Yeah, I'm laughing because the first time I went into Wadi Hatan, on our way back, we had to go there and work with the distortions in the planetary monetary system. We actually had to go to that place where the first coins were minted. So yes, we have been weaving the same tapestry over the years, even before we met. So it's perfect. Oh, my word.
Yes,
it is. Well, I feel we have completed for today, and a very precious share. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, looking forward to our physical reencounter. And yeah, so quite excited for everything that is and that will be, you know.
Very much. And I wish you much ease, grace, and multidimensional magic on your upcoming adventures through the Egyptian timelines, ancient Atlantean timelines, the new galactic timelines, and all other that may emerge or present on your journey through.
Oh, thank you. Thank
that
you.
Top end of Africa. Yeah.
I received them, my heart full open, and may everything that we planned nourish you and all the labor that you're doing, and continue to blossom and expand and fortify as this loving network that we are creating, this beautiful web that we are weaving. And yeah, may my blessings be your blessings. And yeah, may everything, every step that you're giving as well, and all the amazing work that you're putting together with all these amazing beings that are holding the space for you, and that you are holding the space for them, continue to expand and become stronger, and yeah, reach many places. And may all the consciousness that you are connecting with to deliver this task, this mission, continue to embrace you in love, in unity and prosperity, and yeah, in beauty and harmony.
May we celebrate this soul family connections through community, deep intimacy, and love that's emerging on the planet. It is truly a precious gift to be here now. Thank you, Yssah. And
Thank you.
blessings on the journey.
Thank you. Love you.